Hello everybody, this is the thejonnymar, and welcome to a brand new Let's Play series. In this series, I'm going to be playing, as you can see, Gunman Clive 2 for the Wii U. So we have completed Gunman Clive previously on my channel, and this is the sequel of the series. So this is a kind of side-scrolling shooting game a la Mega Man style. It's got quite an homage to kind of classic platforming with shooting elements as well. You can play as numerous characters and on numerous difficulty settings. So I'm going to play on the default difficulty with the default character, Gunman Clive. And so we are going to watch the intro little cutscene here. So this follows the events of the first game where our heroine there in the back was kidnapped by an evil person, scientist or whoever, and we had to save her. And so in this game, you can play as pretty much any of the characters immediately, but I do like to play as the default character. Each of the characters does have some unique aspects to them. So Gunman Clive, who is the main character, is pretty standard jump, standard shooting mechanics, etc. His character that he ends up saving in the first game, which is named Ms. Johnson, I kind of like to think of her as the Princess Peach of this series. She runs a little bit slower and she can float a little bit if you hold the jump button, but her shooting mechanics are otherwise pretty much the same as Clive. And then you have Chieftain Bob, who is a character with a spear instead of a gun. And what he will do is he is a melee character, so you have to basically let all characters get close to you to actually hit them or kill them. And as you might expect, that adds a significant amount of difficulty to the game. So I don't generally play as him, although if you know the game well, that is certainly a way to increase the difficulty of the run that you're doing. So this being the first world, you would expect it's pretty easy. That isn't necessarily the case, because this game does like to introduce some new elements that are actually really annoying. There are some stages in this game that I absolutely despise, and that is because of kind of the propensity of this game to get enamored with physics associated with things moving, so the ground below you kind of moving. And it gets really, really tricky to time your jumps without falling into pits and dying instantly. Now, if you play on the easiest difficulty setting, you'll actually get checkpoints and you'll start where you die, basically, in that it only takes away a little bit of your life when you die, whereas on normal difficulty, when you die, you have to start over at the beginning of the level that you're in, which is still not terrible, right? It doesn't make you start at the beginning of the world, for example, but it still is annoying if you get near the end of the level, and this game likes to put like really nasty obstacles right at the end of levels before the end to basically kill you and then make you redo the whole level. But here is an example of the first of these kind of moving ground that you have to stand on, and that is the oil rigs in the background. So basically the oil rigs move back and forth, and you kind of have to time your jumps to have maximum height so that you're able to pass on. And then you also get these oil spurts that you have to then run on while also still killing enemies without getting knocked off. And it is very, very difficult to time these jumps until you kind of get a hang of it. And this is not the only stage that does this. Many of the later stages, they find ways of kind of bringing back this mechanic, and it really irritates me. Like, I will die. I'll be running fine, I'll be doing fine, even when you know the level really well, and then all of a sudden you make a jump slightly too late, and basically you die. And it's essentially super frustrating because you have to start all over in the level. But here we have the first boss of the game. It is this robotic kind of spider thing with the big gun on its back. Pretty easy once you know the pattern. You can actually duck down here at these intersections, and it's kind of vulnerability point. There's two of them. Obviously they're colored blue, so you can shoot its big gun, or you can shoot the little spot on the back of the tank. And when it does this, when it kind of goes up like that, it's going to shoot a massive beam at you. You can actually run underneath him and start shooting him in the back if you have room. And that's a way to get a bunch of hits on him. So all he does is shoot missiles at you and then shoot his big gun at you, and then he'll jump off the screen and try to land on you. And each does quite a bit of damage. So you want to try to avoid that. Just keep jumping, shooting at his big gun. If he does his little laser gun, you can run underneath him and shoot him in the back. So not too tough, again, once you know the strategy. So first level, not too bad. Now we're going to get a brand new mechanic here, which is a flying level. So what's nice about this game is it likes to introduce different types of style of play. So you'll have racing levels where you're on horses, you'll have flying levels where you're in various things that you fly on, and you have to take out different enemy types. Now I suck at these flying levels because the controls are inverted, which means up is down and down is up, and I am not good at controlling those type of controls. So chances are, not necessarily in this level I'll die, but in a later level where you have to do this again and actually take on a sub-boss or a mini-boss, it gets a lot more difficult. Especially because they start introducing hazards in the level that are much more difficult to avoid. So in this level we just have rock faces, we have a few enemies and balloons, and then we have these bombs, of course. They're not too bad, and this is actually already pretty much the end of the level. We just gotta get through these bombs and this last hot air balloon, and then we'll arrive at the valley that is the second world of this game. So I really like this game. I like the graphical style. I think it's got an interesting art style. The soundtrack is really good. It homages a lot of earlier games with its mechanics, which I enjoy as well. And it's just an overall a solid game. It's pretty short. There's only 25 levels. In the first game, I think there was only 20 levels, but it's pretty cheap as well. So you can get it on the Wii U. You can also get it on the 3DS or the 2DS, I guess, if you have that, off of the eShop. Generally on the Wii U, you can buy a combo package where you get both games in one for about $4. And then on the 3DS, you can get each game individually for maybe 3 apiece or 2 apiece or something like that. And I do highly recommend them. If you enjoy kind of these side-scrolling Mega Man style games, it gives you quite a bit of bang for your buck, if you'll pardon the pun. So we're going to head into the castle here, which is the predominant area of the second world. And this introduces another new mechanic, which is these gravity-changing arrows. So throughout this level, you're going to have to utilize this and also deal with the fact that your controls get reversed. So whatever direction you are in, you have to kind of acclimate yourself to the controls to keep yourself going in the right direction. And in this room, we want to go to the right, to the middle, to the left, back to the middle, and then to the left again. And then all the way to the right again to get through the puzzle without dying. And again, it's very common before you know that pattern to die many, many times in that Tetris-like room. And then in this room, we have to go back and forth between platforms. And again, until you get the hang of it, it's very common to die numerous times in this room. Here we gotta avoid some enemies, ow, and get to the end of the level. Not too bad. And so we'll be taking on boss number 2 here. This gentleman-like character. So he will switch between the floor and the ceiling. He'll shoot at you. He'll summon these kind of platforms that can shoot at you as well. And then he'll summon also ones that can spike you to death. And so essentially you just have to keep jumping out of the way, avoid his attacks, and then shoot him in the back if possible. And this is a 2-part boss, so once you beat the first part and knock out his life bar, you will have to take on the second part, which is, I would say, easier. And that is a guy that just kind of jumps around. You'll see it here in a second. So he gets inside of a spaceship type thing. I think they're trying to insinuate that this is the boss, the guy who's doing all the bad stuff. Ow. So you want to shoot him as much as possible, and if it is the boss, well, you would expect, hey, we're done, right? But no, it's not him. It's going to disappear now, and we're going to move on to the third world. And this introduces another really, really nasty mechanic, which are these platforms. So they move along a set course, and then once they reach the end of the course, they're gonna drop pretty fast. And so you need to basically get a handle on when the platforms reach the end of their trajectory so that you can jump up before that happens. It's not too bad, again, once you kind of know the pattern, but until you do, it's very common to just keep dying. Like, I've died a lot in that level learning the pattern for this. And we're gonna duck, and we're gonna jump, and then we're gonna try to kill this rolling wheel there and that bat to get towards the last part of this level, which includes these machine gunners. Very elegantly designed machine gunners with their fancy clothes for the Wild West. So yeah, the game is set kind of in the Wild West, but it has a lot of pseudo sci-fi type of elements. So it's got spaceships, it's got other stuff, it has a panda that you ride. This is one of my least favorite levels in the game, although the panda is very cute. And that is because you have to stay ahead of this stupid, massive shearing wheel that's coming after you, while also dodging enemies and jumping on these obstacles and keeping ahead of it without dying. So I will probably die a couple times here. Once you get the pattern, again, it's not so bad. The whole game is designed around knowing the pattern. But the problem is you start getting to these enemies and they can actually slow you down. And you have to be able, to hit these platforms. And if you don't hit the tops of the obstacles, the panda will actually do quite a bit of a delay before it starts climbing. Now, as to how a panda climbs a sheer surface, I'm not quite sure how, but hey, it's a video game, don't question it. So dying a couple times, not unexpected for this level. There's a similar type of stage later in the game as well, except you're not using a panda, you're using something else. So we'll see that, hopefully, if we can get through this level without dying too many more times. I never claimed I'm an expert at this game, and in fact, during the second half of the game, I will probably be dying a lot, because the difficulty, as soon as we get through this world, ratchets up pretty dramatically. And especially with some of the bosses, they're pretty tough. So now we gotta get here. This is the last little stretch here. Jump! Oh, and then the panda fortunately caught the bottom there, and we finally got through the level. So 2 deaths, not too bad. A couple more levels to go, and then we will be done with this particular part of the series. I'm gonna do, again, about half the levels in this episode, and then I'll do the other half in the next episode. So here we have kind of an Oriental style design. You have characters that are kind of stereotypically of that descent or style. So we see some ninjas, we see some sumo guys, we see bunnies. And of course we continue to have our Wild West characters. There will be sumo guys dropping from the ceiling here, so dodge those. You'll see these ninja guys come out of the floor. If you just run at them, you can basically kill them and get in kind of a safe zone. You want to shoot these sumo guys before they have a chance to hit you and knock you back. And then on the roof here, we'll have more ninjas coming at you, and so just shoot them, and you should be okay. There's one coming from behind here. Let's see if we can kill him. Dang, almost got a no damage on that. And then it is the boss, which is a true kind of samurai style warrior, although very massive, as you can see. So he's not too bad. Again, once you know the pattern, he'll do some jump kicks, he'll do a slash attack at you, and then he'll start throwing energy waves at you. And so every time he puts his sword away, he's going to do that jump kick. He'll do 1 to 3 jump kicks in a row, depending on where you are in comparison to him. And that is generally the best pattern. And so when he starts doing that, you can get in a lot of hits. And there we go. So that is Gunman Clive 2. I hope you enjoyed, and we will finish up the series in my next episode. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time. So long.